The market streets of Veka 9 were full of noise. Traders shouted, ships landed, smoke and light danced in the air. But none of it mattered to the girl in the gray cloak. Her name was Visha, and she walked like someone who didn't belong here. She held something tight in her gloved hand, a silver map. Not made of paper, not a screen, it was something older. Alien, even to her kind. It shimmered when the stars shifted above. It pulsed with a soft glow, only visible when she was alone. The name on the map, Jaren. A human name, a forgotten name. But not to her. Vesha walked past shouting vendors and dirty alleyways until she reached a small corner with no lights. She knelt and opened the silver map. The surface rippled like water, and the name Jaren floated in the center again. Then, the map spoke. Last ping, Star System Delta 23. Subject status, unknown. DNA match, active. Her hands trembled. He was still alive. Somewhere, she remembered little about him, just flashes. A warm hand pulling her from a cage. A voice saying, "You're safe now." Then, darkness. That was years ago. She had been a child, now she was grown. But the feeling in her chest had never left. She owed him her life. A shadow moved behind her. "You're showing that thing again," said a deep voice. It was Carve, a lizard-like mercenary who had followed her since they landed. "That silver map, it's trouble. I've seen bounty hunters kill for less." Vesha stood quickly. "Stay away from me." Carve grinned, sharp teeth showing. "I know that name. Jaren, human, long gone. Dead maybe. Why are you chasing ghosts?" She said nothing and walked past him, but Carve followed. "You know, there's a price on humans like him. Big one, dead or alive. If you find him, you should sell him." Vesha spun around. "He saved me." Carve stopped walking. The air grew quiet. "Saved you?" he asked slowly. "Yes," she said, voice shaking. "He was the only one who didn't look at me like a thing. He helped me escape the labs. He gave me hope." Carve narrowed his eyes. "Then you're more foolish than I thought." Vesha didn't care. She turned and vanished into the crowd, heading toward the old launch pad's dot. She had one goal, now find Delta 23. That was the next lead, but there was a problem. The Delta 23 system was wiped from most star maps, erased, forbidden space, even. So she had a way. Her small ship, the Ember Wind, was hidden outside the city. It was old and half-broken, but it had one working thing. The silver map's core could sync with its drive. It could take her where others wouldn't go. Night fell fast on Veka 9. Red moons hung above like bleeding eyes. Vesha reached her ship. Panting, the map pulsed again. This time, a new word appeared. Warning, hostiles approaching. She turned and saw them. 3 bounty hunters, armed, moving fast. One of them carried a scanner. They had tracked her signal. She jumped inside the Ember Wind and slammed the hatch. Shots fired against the metal hull. Sparks flew. The ship groaned but held. Vesha strapped herself in. "Come on," she whispered, holding the silver map to the console. "Get me out of here." The screen flickered. Engines coughed. Coordinates locked. Delta 23, launching in 10-9. A blast shook the ship. Too slow. She screamed. The hatch dented inward. A bounty hunter began cutting through the door. 8, 7, 6. Vesha gritted her teeth and slammed her palm against the launch override. "Now!" the ship screamed as the thrusters ignited too early. The Ember Wind shot upward like a dying bird, flames spilling from the engine. She barely missed the tower wall dot as the stars stretched before her, and Veka 9 shrank behind. Vesha let herself breathe. She looked down at the silver map again. The name still glowed, Jaren. But below it now, one new word blinked. Reason, unknown. Vesha narrowed her eyes. Not for long. She was going to find the human who once saved her, no matter what it cost. And this time, she would be the one to save him. The ember wind trembled as it flew through deep space, lights flickering and engines whining. Vesha sat in the pilot's chair, gripping the controls tight, her knuckles pale. She had jumped blindly into hyperspace toward a place the galaxy had erased. Delta-23, a system that didn't exist on any official chart, a place whispered about by smugglers and hunted mercs. Some said the stars there were cursed. Others said anyone who went never returned. Now she was headed straight for it. The silver map lay beside her. Its surface pulsed with a strange, slow heartbeat. It had gone silent after the jump, as if waiting for something, and then, without warning, crash. The ship was yanked out of hyperspace. The stars outside the cockpit twisted unnaturally. Her ship spun. Alarms screamed. Warning. Gravity anchor detected. Manual override required. What? Vesha gasped, slamming buttons. This wasn't supposed to happen. She looked at the map. It glowed again, but this time in red. Destination corrupted. Manual intervention required. Danger imminent. Suddenly, through the swirling light outside, she saw it. A massive space station, broken and floating like a corpse. No lights, no movement. Its metal hull was cracked open like something had clawed its way out from inside, but the map pointed straight at it. Subject last seen, aboard Station 7 Rex, Delta-23. Her heart dropped. This was it. The place where Jaren had vanished. A station that didn't show up on any scan yet was somehow still here. She steered the ember wind toward the wreck. Inside the station, the silence was heavy. No lights, no air. Vesha put on her oxygen mask and stepped onto the docking ramp with her flashlight in hand. The metal floor creaked under her boots. Every hallway looked the same, burned, torn, abandoned. She passed dead terminals, shattered glass, and deep claw marks across walls. This place, it wasn't just abandoned. It had been attacked, and whatever did it wasn't human. Then she saw it. A terminal, still flickering. Barely alive. She rushed to it, brushed off the dust, and tapped the screen. The silver map glowed brighter, syncing to the old system, accessing logs. Voice print match detected. Playing last message, her breath caught. A voice played, broken and low. This is Jaren. If anyone finds this. I tried to stop it. I failed. They're not just coming. They're already here. I hope she made it out. She froze. That voice, it was him. Older, weaker, but it was him. I locked the last files in the server room. Code 0441, then dash silence at the ESA blinked away tears. He remembered her, even in the end. But now she had a new path. The server room. She followed the corridor, deeper into the station, her flashlight flickering. A sound echoed behind her, soft, scraping metal. She turned. Nothing but the hair on her neck stood up. She wasn't alone. The server room was behind a locked blast door. She keyed in the code 0441. The door opened. Inside were old terminals glowing with weak blue light, and something strange. A stasis pod in the back corner, wrapped in wires and shielded by old shields and sparks. She stepped inside. One of the terminals showed footage, brief clips of Jaren helping alien children, building something, fighting off tall insect-like creatures. With a strange black mist following them, Vesha tapped the map to the screen. New data downloaded. Next known location, planet Cryan Abyss. Tracking signal faint. Her next lead. But then the lights behind her flickered. A deep growl echoed down the hall. She wasn't alone. Something else was awake. Vesha grabbed the map, backed out of the room, and ran. She sprinted down the dark corridors, heart pounding. Shadows chased her, metal clanging behind. A shriek tore through the air, high-pitched and alien. She dived into the ember wind just as something slammed. Against the hull, launch. She screamed. The ship groaned, lifted, and escaped the ruined station just as something crawled out behind her. Something tall, black and wrong. Back in space, breathing hard, she looked at the silver map. It had new coordinates. A new hope. She wasn't giving up. Jaren had risked everything to protect her. Now it was her turn to find him. Before whatever destroyed that station found him first. The planet Crayon Abyss was not a place where life should exist. Its sky was thick with green fog. Its ground cracked like dry skin. And storms of fine gray dust moved without wind like they were alive. Vesha's ship, the Ember Wind, landed on a rocky ledge surrounded by silent ruins. The silver map pulsed in her hand again, stronger now. The human Jaren had once been here, but if he had left a message, it was buried beneath time, ash. And maybe worse. As she stepped out of her ship, her boots sank into a layer of soft dust. Each footstep disappeared seconds after she took it, like the ground was swallowing her trail. Current signal, buried. Depth, 6 meters. The silver map showed an old underground bunker, marked by a broken tower that leaned like a dying tree. She headed there fast, her eyes sharp, her breathing slow. Inside the tower, Vesha found a spiral staircase leading downward. The deeper she went, the more the air changed. It didn't smell like dust, it smelled like something old. Like burnt wires and metal skin. At the bottom, she reached a sealed door. The map's glow turned blue and unlocked it without a touch. Door access. Authorized by DNA imprint. Her breath caught. That meant someone. Maybe Jaren had connected her DNA to the security system. But how? The door slid open with a hiss. Inside, a small circular room filled with dead machines, old consoles, and silence. One light blinked at the far end, a voice log recorder. She approached it slowly, her fingers brushing dust from its cracked surface. One new message. From Jaren. Date, 7 cycles ago. Her hand trembled as she pressed play. A weak, tired voice filled the room. If you're hearing this, you're either really lucky or really stubborn. Either way, you found me or what's left of me. I left the station on Delta 23 when I knew I couldn't fight the silence anymore. They weren't just after me, they were after her. Vesha's heart raced. Her name, I don't even know if she remembers it. I called her Little Spark. She was just a scared girl when I pulled her from that lab. Barely spoke. But she smiled once, just once. And I knew I'd do anything to protect her. I hid her memories. Hid my own ship's keys in her DNA. Gave her the map. She was supposed to live, far from this madness. But if she's here now, it means something's gone wrong. There was a pause. Then, Little Spark, if this is you, run. You weren't meant to come back. The message ended. Vesha stood frozen. He knew she would come. He planned for it, even the map. It was never just a guide. It was a test. She looked around the room, noticing a strange panel on the wall. The map pulsed toward it. Vesha placed her hand on the panel, and it opened a hidden compartment. Inside was a small cube, humming, "Project Keystone, do not activate." She picked it up. Suddenly, the air in the bunker shifted. A low-frequency hum began vibrating the walls. The dust outside moved again faster. Something was coming. Warning, the ship AI buzzed in her earpiece. Unknown heat signatures approaching. Multiple. Vesha grabbed the cube and ran. As she climbed the stairs, the door behind her groaned. Something was hitting it from the other side, not knocking. Clawing. She sprinted back to the Ember Wind. The map glowed hot in her pocket. As the engines fired up, she saw dark shapes moving in the fog. They didn't walk. They floated. The silence, she lifted off fast. Crying Abyss vanished behind her, swallowed in dust again. Back in space, she stared at the cube. She didn't know what it was, but she knew one thing. Jaren had called her Little Spark, And if he was still alive, she was going to find him, no matter how far she had to go. The planet didn't have a name. Not on maps. Not in spoken words. Not even in memories. Locals simply called it Whisper. Because when you tried to speak on its surface, your voice disappeared, as if the planet swallowed your name. The silver map glowed again, brighter than before. It pulsed with energy the moment Vesha entered orbit. Target trail detected. High. Presence confirmed within last cycle. The human Jaren had definitely been here. But this world, it was strange. No communication signals, no government, no recorded languages. And the people who lived here wore no names. Vesha landed. Her ship beside a massive silent temple made of black stone. The city around it looked like a graveyard, buildings still standing, but windows covered, streets empty, and not a single voice in the air. She stepped out, pulling up her hood. As she walked through the dust-covered streets, she saw them, figures in long robes, watching her silently from behind stone arches. No one spoke. No one moved. Then an old woman stepped forward and pointed at Vesha's chest. She said just one word, not in fear, not in anger, just a whisper. Jaren. Vesha's eyes widened. You know that name? The woman slowly nodded and pointed to the temple gates, then turned and walked away, disappearing like a shadow. Inside the temple, it was cold. The walls were covered in symbols, human and alien mixed together. Strange patterns of stars and words like freedom, silence, and the spark. The deeper she went, the more she saw signs of Jaren's past. His initials burned into a wall. His jacket folded carefully on a stone chair. A small, cracked photo of a younger him holding a tiny alien child. Her hands shook. He had left pieces of himself behind. As if hoping she would follow in the temple's heart, she found a tall mirror-like slab. The map in her pocket began to hum. She pulled it out. DNA match confirmed. Beginning memory sequence. The mirror shimmered and played a memory. She saw a crowd of nameless aliens surrounding Jaren. He was older, tired, but standing tall. You don't need a number, he said. You don't need a barcode. You need a name. The first gift I ever gave her was a name. I called her Little Spark. The aliens listened, stunned. Many had forgotten how to speak. You were all taken, changed, told you were nothing. But I say you're more. And even if I disappear, I leave you this message and this temple. So one day, if she returns, she knows she's not alone. The memory faded. Vesha stood in silence. The mirror no longer glowed. The map was still. Tears welled in her eyes. He hadn't just saved her. He saved all of them. But why had he vanished? And why did he never return? Before she could think more, a deep sound echoed from outside. A slow hum that shook the temple walls. She rushed out. The people of Whisper stood gathered in the city square, all silent, all pointing upward. In the sky, 3 large ships appeared, black, sharp, and wrong. The silence. They had followed her. She turned to the elder who first whispered Jaren's name. Please, Vesha begged. You have to hide. The woman pointed back to the temple, to a secret door Vesha hadn't noticed before. Behind it, a stairway. And something glowing at the bottom. His final message, the elder mouthed. Vesha ran down the stairs. Whatever was down there, it was meant for her. At the bottom, she found it. A long metal container marked for spark only. Inside was a recording device. She pressed play. I knew you'd find this one day, Jaren's voice said. If you're here, it means you're stronger than I ever hoped. But the silence, they won't stop until I'm gone for good. You need to know why they're after me. And more importantly, why I left you. The message ended, but there was one more thing in the box. A card. With coordinates. Marked in red and written in his own handwriting. Come find me, one last time. Vesha took the card, the map, and ran. Outside, shadows were falling from the sky. The silence had landed, but this time she wouldn't run. She had something they feared, not weapons, not armies. She had a name, and that name was Spark. The desert was endless. Orange wind howled across the dead plains of the forgotten moon called Gravern 12. No plants, no light, just sand, stone, and bones. But beneath that silence, buried under 30 years of dust, something ancient waited. Ship, old, broken, impossible. Yet alive. Vesha stood at the edge of a giant crater. The silver map buzzed in her hand, pulsing hotter than ever before. It didn't give directions this time. It only pointed straight down. Life sign signature detected. Match, Jaren. She stared into the dark pit. Below the layers of rock and time. His ship was here, the Sparrowhawk, the last known vessel Jaren ever flew. A model so rare, it was thought to be destroyed in the early human wars. And yet, somehow, it had survived like its owner. She climbed down carefully. Each step kicked up dust that hadn't moved in decades. And then she saw it. Sleek metallic frame, half buried, half shattered. Rusted edges, wings torn. One engine missing. The cockpit window cracked like spider glass, but the name carved on the side was still clear. Jaren Sparrowhawk. Her breath caught. This was no ordinary ship. It had history. And secrets. She walked up to the cockpit and touched the hull. The metal glowed. Soft blue lines lit up across its surface like veins waking from a long sleep. Biometric match confirmed, the ship's voice said, tired, distorted. Welcome back. Spark, her knees nearly gave out. He had programmed the ship to respond to her. Even before she knew her own name, Jaren had planned for this moment. He had trusted her to one day return. The cockpit door hissed open. Inside, everything was dusty, but untouched. A jacket hung on the seat. A tiny charm, her old toy, a star-shaped pendant, was still clipped to the control panel. Vesha sat down, barely able to breathe. She placed the silver map into the ship's core. The systems flickered. Engines coughed. Sparks flew. Reactor status, critical. Navigation system, partial function. Coordinates uploaded. Final destination. Locked. The ship suddenly spoke again. Do you wish to resume Jaren's last flight path? She stared at the screen. Yes. She pressed the button. But the ground above shook. Sand exploded into the air as a drone fighter descended, its lights scanning the crater. The silence had followed her. They weren't after Jaren anymore. They were after his ship. After her. Vesha strapped herself in. Warning. Main thrusters offline. Launch impossible. She gritted her teeth. Override it. Override denied. Manual jump required. She opened the side panel and slammed her hand onto the control rods. The engine screamed. The ship trembled, rising, shaking, coming alive. Above, the drone locked its weapons. A red light aimed for her cockpit. Vesha whispered, "Fly, old bird, fly." The Sparrowhawk's backup thrusters roared, and the ship blasted out of the crater in a ball of flame. Just as a missile exploded behind her. The chase began. Through asteroid belts, through black storms, through collapsing gravity wells. The old ship groaned, but it flew, like it remembered what it was built for, like it remembered who it was flying for. In space. After the escape, the Sparrowhawk finally stabilized. Vesha floated quietly, exhausted. She looked out the window, and for the first time, she saw it, a planet glowing gold in the dark. The one place left Jaren had marked on the map. His hiding place. But this time, she wasn't just chasing him. She was coming with his ship, his code, and his legacy. And she knew he would be waiting. The golden planet was quiet. No cities. No towers. No satellites circling its sky. It looked untouched, like it had never known war, machines, or pain. But Vesha felt it. He had been here. And he had left something behind. The sparrowhawk landed near a silver lake that reflected the twin suns above. Strange birds flew overhead, singing softly, as if guarding the peace of this place. The silver map pulsed again. Not with directions, but with a request. Memory sync request. Do you accept? Vesha frowned. Memory sync? The ship's old AI replied, slowly. Jaren stored memories inside your DNA. You were never supposed to find them, unless everything else failed. Her heart pounded. He had hidden memories inside her? But why? She sat on the floor of the ship, eyes closed, holding the cube she found back on Cryon Abyss. As the map connected, a soft light covered her. And the past came rushing in. She wasn't on the ship anymore. She was small, cold, alone. Metal walls surrounded her, a lab filled with wires and machines. She saw herself through Jaren's eyes, a frightened alien child, trembling inside a glass cage hooked to tubes and scanners. And then he came. Jaren, young, angry, brave, broke open her tank. Alarms blared. Scientists screamed. But he lifted her in his arms and ran. He didn't speak at first, just held her, protected her. But when she woke in his ship, he gave her something no one else had. You don't have to be a number anymore, he whispered. Your spark, because that's what you are. The first spark of freedom in all this darkness. The memory shifted. Jaren was holding her again, older this time, injured. His side was bleeding. They'll come for me, for you. I need to hide something big. If I put it in you, you'll be safe. They won't look for it inside a child. He touched her forehead. And then everything went black. The sync ended. Vesha gasped, falling back against the wall. Her hands trembled. Her chest ached. It wasn't just a memory. It was the truth. Jaren had made her forget. He had erased her pain, protected her by making her believe she was just a survivor. But in reality, she was the key. The reason the Silence wanted him wasn't because he fought them. It was because he had stolen the only living being who carried the master key to their destruction. Her, the silver cube in her hand, unlocked. Inside was a glowing crystal, the final part of Jaren's plan. The ship lit up. Mission code, last. Light. Begin final sequence. Deliver spark to origin core. Location. Encrypted. Guide. Jaren. Suddenly her screen flashed. Incoming message. Origin. Unknown. Voice match. 87%. Jaren. She slammed the button. The voice played broken, tired, older. Spark. If you've made it this far, then you've done more than I ever dreamed. You weren't just someone I saved. You were someone I chose. You carry inside you the one thing that can end them, but I knew if I told you, you'd never live free. Now, it's time. Come find me. Let's finish what we started together. Vesha opened her eyes. Her purpose was clear now. She wasn't just chasing a lost hero. She was the last move in his plan, and if she failed, the galaxy would fall. The planet was dead. From orbit, it looked like ash, no oceans, no light, just cracks across the surface like scars. A forgotten battlefield from a war no one remembered. But the silver map pointed here, not blinking, not searching, just glowing. Steady. Final beacon located. Vesha didn't speak. She had flown across the stars, escaped hunters, fought monsters, unlocked a past that wasn't supposed to be hers. But this moment, this was for her. And for him, the sparrowhawk. Landed in silence. Ash blew across the landing ramp. The air was thin. The only sound was the hum of the silver cube inside her pack, still glowing softly, ready to be used. But she wasn't looking for a weapon. She was looking for Jaren. The trail led to a cracked temple of stone, half buried by time. She pushed open the rusted door and stepped inside. Her footsteps echoed across broken floors. Then she saw it, a figure, sitting on a stone chair, head bowed. A rifle lay beside him, untouched. His hair was white now, his clothes torn, his body thin, but when he looked up, it was him. Jaren. Older, weaker, but still. Him. He blinked like he couldn't believe what he saw. Spark? Her lip trembled. She didn't answer with words. She just ran to him and fell to her knees. He touched her face gently. You came all this way, why? Her voice cracked. Not for revenge. Not for justice. I came to bring you home. Tears fell from his eyes. I thought I had nothing left. I thought you were gone. I buried everything, even my name. She shook her head. You gave me a name when I had none. You made me someone. Now let me do the same for you. Together, they stood. She placed the silver cube into the console behind him. A pulse of light spread across the ground, unlocking something old, something powerful. A buried signal began to rise. A signal the silence had feared. The original code. To shut them down. Vesha's body trembled as the energy passed through. Her DNA wasn't just a key. It was the source code of the resistance. Something Jaren had hidden inside her since she was a child. She looked back at him. Let's finish this. They stepped outside. Dozens of ships, black, sharp, terrible, were already in the sky. The silence had come. Their final swarm. But Vesha stood tall, her hand on the cube. Jaren beside her. And as the beacon activated, a wave of golden light shot into the sky, disabling every enemy ship at once. The galaxy blinked. And for the first time in decades, the silence was gone. Later, the stars were quiet again, not from fear, but from peace. Vesha and Jaren sat beside a lake on a green world, watching the sky. Will you go back to Earth? She asked softly. He shook his head. Earth never needed me. But maybe this galaxy still needs us. She smiled, and for the first time in her life, she felt complete. She had crossed the stars not for war, not for revenge, but for love, for family, for the man who gave her a name and the home she had finally found.